Right. Now, this one, okay, it's 1 over square root of 5 plus square root of 5 over 5 all squared. Okay, so what you do here, you need to know this is the same as 1 over square root of 5 plus square root of 5 over 5. Okay, you multiply it by itself. Okay, so 1 over square root of 5 plus square root of 5 over 5. Like that. Okay, so here we are going to multiply this term, we will multiply them like this. These two will multiply each other and those two. Then these two will multiply and those two will multiply. Right? There's no need to be scared. 1 over square root of 5 times 1 over square root of 5. That will give you 1 over 5. Okay? By now we should know that square root of 5 times square root of 5 is a 5. Okay? Then 1 over square root of 5 times square root of 5 over 5. That's going to give you another 1 over 5. Okay? If I multiply this by that, I'm also going to get, I'm going to get 1 over 5. Okay, someone might ask me, how come? Okay, it's very simple. It's this way. It's 1 over square root of 5 times square root of 5 over 5. These two will cancel out. Okay? You see that? So you left with 1 in the numerator and 5 in the denominator, so that will be plus 1 over 5. Then this square root of 5 over 5 times 1 over square root of 5 to give you another 1 over 5. Then the last one now, it will be square root of 5 times square root of 5, that's a 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Okay? So you end up having 3 over 5 plus 5 over 25. Now 3 over 5 is the same as 15 over 25, so the final answer will be 20 over 25, which is 4 over 5. Yeah, I needed it. Then I found the LCD. What's the LCD of 5 and 25? It's 25. So you multiply the 3 by 5, the 5 by 5, you get 15 over 25 plus 5 over 25, which is 20 over 25, that's equal to 4 over 5. Treat these two as fractions. They are actually fractions. What is square root of 5 times square root of 5? That's 5. 5 times 5? No, that's what I got here. Don't complicate it. Don't complicate it.
You using a calculator, I don't know. You understand?
Stop using a calculator. Alright. And please, when you're writing a test, you are supposed to show all your working out when you are doing this. If you want to get full marks, then show all your what? Show all your working out.
What's 5 times 3?
Okay, where are you getting that from?
The denominator is
Where?
5. The single number is 1 over 25 plus 25 over 5.
Yes, sir.
What's 5 times 25?
Don't complicate things.
No, sir.
I multiplied this one here by that.
Yes.
I got 1 over 5.
Yes.
Because square root of 5 times square root of 5 is 5. Then this one by that. I showed you here how to get the answer. 1 over square root of 5 times square root of 5 times over 5. These two will cancel out because of multiplication. Alright. Okay, from there, let's get on. Then this is another type of question. Right. This one here, from my experience, some learners they do some crazy stuff. Okay? the first thing that you need to do here, isolate the cell or the term with the square root. That's the first thing. You get a mark for that, by the way. So I'll take the x to the what? To the right first. So you have the square root of x minus 2 is equal to 2 minus x. Are you looking there? And then the next thing is to remove the square root sign. When you remove the square root sign, please, you don't square the 2 on its own and the x on its own. I'm going to repeat that. Can you look at me, please? Look at me. When you're simplifying further here, you are going to square the left-hand side. So it will be x minus 2, the square root of x minus 2 all squared. You want to remove the square root sign. On the right-hand side, you don't square the 2 and the x separately. You put them in brackets, so it will be 2 minus x all squared, like this. Okay? If you do anything else, if you see a question like that, then don't look at me the next time you see it. So this becomes x minus 2 equal to 2 minus x times 2 minus x. So that will be x minus 2 equal to 4 minus 2x minus 2x plus x squared. Then here you get 4 minus 4x plus x squared. Okay, please take note what I did here. What I did here. That's when a common mistake happens. And you can come out of the test and say, I got it, I got it. And you didn't. Don't do this. Don't say 2 squared minus x squared. Please, this is wrong. You can come out excited thinking that you got it right and you didn't. Okay. Then you take the x to the right, the minus 2 to the right, you get 0 equal to x squared minus 5x. If you take the minus 2, you end up getting plus 6. Then it becomes a grade 9 quadratic equation. And then you factorize this.
Minus 6 and minus 3.
So it will be x minus 3 times x minus 2.
So what if you say minus 6 plus minus 6?
No, you won't get the answer.
You will.
Why?
No, this
Okay,
is not.
look,
It's not. This is
look.
positive.
X times x. Let's leave it x squared, yeah? No, you can't factorize that. Why would you want to do that? Okay, alright. Another way would be when you get to this point here, you can still carry on from that, but I don't want you to use that method. Because some people might get confused, they start doing some crazy stuff. Like, so just create a quadratic equation and solve it. That's all. So when you get here, you end up having x minus 3 equal to 0 or x minus 2 equal to 0. So your x will be equal to 3 or x will be equal to 2. I'm not done. It's a set, so I need to test those two answers. Okay? So you do a quick check to validate both answers. So where there is x here, if I put 3, I'll get 3 here. 3 minus 2, I'm going to get a 1 there. What is 3 plus 1? 4. It's a 4. Is 4 equal to 2? No. Which means this x equal to 3 is not applicable. Let's try x equal to 2. If I put 2 here, and then I put 2 there, what's the square root of 0? 0. So 2 is going to be equal to 2. So your only solution is going to be x equal to 2. Okay? X equal to 2 only. If you don't validate both answers, you may lose 1 mark for that. Okay? You may lose 1 mark. So out of those 4 marks, 1 mark is also for rejecting x equal to 3. And you need to state it that x is not equal to what? to 3 by writing what I just wrote. So we only have one solution. Okay? Make sure you are aware of what I just did. Any question?
Roughly how many questions like this will be in the test?
No, generally, a question like this, you get one question. Remember, there are different types of questions. Right? Okay, let me get on. Right, let's move on to quadratics. Right, I've already started quadratics under third equation. Now, here we have got two questions, common questions. Usually, the first question for under quadratic equation, you need to factorize it. Then the next one, if it says leave your answer in set form, it means use the quadratic formula. Okay, use the quadratic formula. So, 1.1.1, we are going to factorize. Okay? Yes? Yes. So we have got x squared minus 8x plus 12 equal to 0. This one is very simple. So it will be x minus 6 times x minus 2 equal to 0. At this stage, so can you do it over? You need to define it. Okay. So this becomes x minus 6 equal to 0 or x minus 2 equal to 0. So you get x equal to 6 or x equal to 2. So that's straightforward. Usually the first question you have to do what I just did. Okay? You don't have to be scared when you see it. Okay. Right? Then the second one, okay? The second one, it gives you an instruction that leave your answer in said form. Now, there are two ways of doing that question. Either you can use the method of completing the square, which is a problem to most learners, or you can just use the quadratic formula. My suggestion, use the quadratic formula. You never go wrong there. But before you use the quadratic formula, check if the equation is of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. If it is not in that form, then make it to that form. Now, is this a quadratic equation of that form?
No.
No. So what you do is you've got 4x squared minus 9x equal to 12. You take the 12 to the left. Now, do you know that you get a mark for this?
Yes.
1 mark for the standard form of the quadratic equation. 1 mark for taking that 12 and equating the trinomial to 0. 1 mark. Imagine. Right? Then when you get here, we are going to use the quadratic formula. So it will be a is equal to 4, b is equal to minus 9, and c is minus 12. Okay? Now I'm going to write down my quadratic formula. You may get a mark for the quadratic formula itself, or you may get a mark for both the correct formula and substitution. So the next step, I must write my quadratic formula. Okay? I'm going to write my quadratic formula.
So we already know it. Yeah, we know it. Remember when I asked you, is it hard to memorize? Now I know it's not the formula.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
It's very easy.
Okay, so it's x equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2n. My advice to you, know this formula by heart before test. Okay? Know it by heart. So the next thing now is I'm going to substitute. Okay? Now if you look at my b, it is negative. Okay? The b is negative. The b is negative. So my formula, I'm going to say this is equal to minus open bracket minus 9 plus or minus the square root of b squared, that's minus 9 all squared. Okay? Please don't forget to put the value of b inside brackets if it's negative. If you forget to do that, you get an incorrect answer. So this will be minus 4 times A. My A is a 4. My C is negative 12. So again, I have to put it inside the bracket. All over 2 times 4. Now, I want you to be aware that depending on what the examiner wants, you may get a mark for the correct formula. Okay? If you don't get a mark for the correct formula, you get a mark here for both the formula and correct substitution. The what? You get a mark for the correct formula and the correct substitution. Okay? Then, when you get here, it becomes simple. This becomes positive 9 plus or minus 81. 4 times 4, that's 16. 16 times 12. Okay, that will give me 160. 16 times, that's 192. So that's positive 192. Just verify that for me.
Right.
Right. Then if you add the 2, so 9 plus or minus the square root. Now, if I add those two, I'll get 273. Now, 273 is not a perfect square. Okay? So when you get here now, you then have to use your calculator. Okay? You then have to use your calculator. I'm not sure that I think I told you this, but if you've got the silver calculator, right, you can use that wisely to check your answers. Because the calculator can solve quadratic equations, the silver. Okay? So once you get here, what will be the two answers to two decimal? So they say in set form. Okay, it said in set form. So what that means, x is gonna be equal to 9 plus the square root of 273 over 8, or x will be equal to 9 minus the square root of 273 over 8. The question says leave your answer in set form. So I've left my answers in set form. Sometimes they may say correct to two decimal places, then you need to use your calculator to simplify those two sets to two decimal places. Okay?
How do you use our calculator?
Okay, it depends on when you are here, you see, you choose number 5, then number 3, that's the quadratic one. Okay, for our question, our A was 4. So I'll put 4 there, then you press equals. Our B was minus 9. You press minus 9. Minus, okay, minus 9, then you press equals. C was negative 12, so it will be negative 12. Then you press equals. Then you tell the calculator to do the calculation. That's the first value I have here. That's the first value I have here. You see this one here, 9 plus square root of 273 all over 8. The second one, you see this, the calculator says x1 because it was programmed to determine more than one value. Then you press another equal sign to be 9 minus square root of 273 over 8. Right? Now you can convert those answers to decimal as well. Well, sometimes you may be requested to leave your answer as a decimal. So you just press S to D. Okay, this one is not allowing me. Okay, it is. So you end up getting, now to two decimal places, this becomes minus 0.94. Minus 0.94. Please be aware of those two answers. Either you can be asked to leave your answer in said form or as a decimal to two decimal places. Okay? Alright. Okay, Celine, I hope I've answered you. Right. Now, when you're solving quadratic equations, if you've got this calculator here, you never get the incorrect answer. Alright?
Wait, so what if you're working out with then you just put up the correct answer at the end?
Then you may lose some marks.
So you could get
Okay. I want you to pay attention carefully as I do this question. Okay. Now I'm going to solve this quadratic equation by completing the square. Now I need to emphasize that for you to be able to complete the square, the basic idea is creating a what is called a perfect square trinomial. And the perfect square trinomials are two of them, right? You can have x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. If you factorize this, you get x plus y all squared. You can also have x squared minus 2xy plus y squared. And this will give you x minus y all squared. Okay, so when you are completing the square, the idea is to create a perfect square trinomial. And then you factorize that perfect square trinomial. Now, there are two ways of doing it. Either you can factor out 2 throughout, or you can divide each term by 2. So here, I'm going to start by dividing each term by 2, because that's the method which I feel is the easiest. Okay? Instead of factorizing 2, because most of you will get confused by doing that. So what you do is make the coefficient of x squared equal to 1 first. Make the coefficient of x squared equal to 1 first. How do you do that? You divide each term by the coefficient of x squared. In this case, the coefficient is a 2. So you need to make the coefficient of x squared equal to 1 by dividing every term by the coefficient of x squared. So once you do that, you get x squared minus 7 over 2x plus 3 equal to 0. So I have made the coefficient of x squared equal to 1. Now I can get on to complete the square. So the next step now is to find half of the coefficient. This is very important now. Half of the coefficient of x. We need to know what is half of the coefficient of that minus 7 over 2. Now it's not complicated to find it. You just have to divide this minus 7 over 2 by 2, like this. Minus 7 over 2 divided by 2. This will give you minus 7 over 2 divided by 2 over 1, which is the same as minus 7 over 2 times 1 over 2. This is equal to minus 7 over 4. So what I've done here is I found half of the coefficient of x by dividing this minus 7 over 2 by what? By 2. Once you get the half of the coefficient of x, you then need to add the square of it and also subtract the square of it. Okay? So, don't stress, it's not that difficult. Okay, before I carry on, let me take this positive 3 to the right so that I'll have x squared minus 7 over 2x is equal to 3. Because that 3 won't be part of my perfect square trinomial. Okay? If it won't be part of my perfect square trinomial. Then the next thing is, I found half of the coefficient of x and it's minus 7 over 4. So I'm going to add, okay, like this. Sorry. I'm going to add half of the coefficient of x. So that will be minus 7 over 4 all squared. Once I add it here, I also need to subtract it. Okay, this is a mathematical technique that is used to solve the problem. Okay, so I now need to subtract minus half over 4 all squared, and this is equal to negative 3. Now the question will be, what is the answer here? What's the answer there? It's equal to what? 0. So this is a mathematical manipulation that is used to solve the problem. So what you do is you find the answer here and also there. It's the same, by the way, but the only thing is that the signs are different. So from there I'll write x squared minus 7 over 2x plus 49 over 16 minus 49 over 16 is equal to negative 3. Now check this. If you understood the concept of perfect square trinomial, your perfect square trinomial comes from this part. That's the perfect square trinomial. So this minus 49 over 16, you take it to the right. Okay? Now, this is also called a quadratic polynomial. But it's a special type of a trinomial. It's called the perfect square trinomial. Because when you factorize it, you get two identical binomial factors. Right, so the next step on the next page, I'm going to take the minus 49 over 16 to the right. If I do that, I'll get x squared minus 7 over 2x plus 49 over 16 is equal to minus 3 plus 49 over 16. You see that? You see what I just did? So then factorizing this should not be a problem. Right? What you do, can I be attention? You don't have to think to factorize this. Right? Find the square root of x squared rather is x. The square root of 49 over 16, that will be 7 over 4. If there is a minus here, then you just put the minus there. If there was a plus here, you put the plus there. Then you square everything because you are factorizing. Okay? Then you simplify this 16 times minus 3 gives me minus 48 over 16. So I'll get 1 over 16 there. You can use your calculator.
So, but then you find the LCD.
I've done that already. Simplify.
So, how do you know that the sign is negative or positive?
So that the negative, you look at the first sign in the trinomial.
Well, then we're going to examine the sign.
Yes. So if, can I be attention? If there was a plus between the first two terms of the trinomial, then you put a plus here. If there is a minus here, you put a what? A minus. You don't have to think.
3 times by 16 minus 48 plus 48.
Why don't you get the right?
Right? The denominator here is what? What's the LCD? 16 times minus 3? Minus 48. Minus 48 plus 49 gives you a 1. So you end up getting 1 over 16. Can you pay attention? Pay attention. Pay attention. There is a question on completing the square, whether you like it or not on that. And you need to know what I'm doing here. So do yourself a favor and pay attention. Okay? Right, so from here, then we find the square root of both sides. So this becomes x minus the 7 over 4 all squared. Then we take the square root. We do the same on the right, but you must put a plus or minus because the square root of any number is a positive and a negative. So on the left, you will end up having x minus 7 over 4 is equal to plus or minus 1 over 4. Okay? Now, this plus or minus means you have got two answers for x. Okay? You don't have to get confused. This plus or minus is an indicator that you've got two solutions. Right? Then you take the minus 7 over 4 to the right, you get x equal to positive 7 over 4 plus or minus 1 over 4. If you simplify this or you split it up, you are going to get 7 over 4 plus 1 over 4, which is 8 over 4. So you get x equal to 2, or 7 over 4 minus 1 over 4 will give you 6 over 4, which is 3 over 2. So the second answer will be x equal to 3 over 2.
So maybe just because it's second stage, not writing it out.
Okay, look here. Okay, let me put the step in. This means x is equal to 7 over 4 plus a quarter Okay? And the other one, it will be x equal to 7 over 4 minus a quarter. What is 7 over 4 plus 1 over 4? Okay. It's 8 over 4, which is a 2. Then what is 7 over 4 minus 1 over 4? 6 over 4. That's same as 3 over 2.
What's the difference? So would the middle term always be a fraction?
No. No. Depends with the question. Depends with the question.
But I'm definitely concerned that if you open the fraction.
Maybe. Okay, this question is a little bit more complex because the coefficient of x there, it's a fraction because of the division that I did here. Okay? The division that took place in this step here. That's the one which created that fraction. Okay? Any question? Are you sure?
Yes.
You're following? Yes. Okay. Let me